Yes, my Straight Talk family, when you hear that music, you know it's for another edition of Straight Talk, and time for me to bid you good night, St. Kitts and Nevis, to the entire Eastern Caribbean region, and I hail my brothers and sisters in the Kitts and Nevian diaspora who are connected via the wide web. I know that some of you are Asia, a few in Africa. There are some of you in Europe, and there are a lot of you all over North America. So, those who have followed me, change our studios, and you'll see the clocks soon with all the different times on the wall shortly, because I am at liberty to say good night. I'm also at liberty to say good morning, and certainly I'm also at liberty to say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. And I know we're all still reeling and suffering to some extent, and all full of anxiety as it relates to the COVID-19 and the rollout of vaccines in St. Kitts and Nevis, and certainly all around the world. Straight Talk, if you're joining me for the first time, is a public service program that facilitates and promotes discussion on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, we do have a forum to express yourselves. Let us in the process continue to keep St. Kitts and Nevis as one of the freest in the entire world. On this program, we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. And my name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And if you're joining me for the first time, Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls, emails, and if you're so minded to call, the numbers are 465-255 and also 8-577-2916. Some people they call, so they want to hide behind the mouse and the keyboard. So we give you access via our email platform, that is take that back, that's ZIZ-STRAIGATTALK, that's ZIZ Straight Talk at gmail.com. Tonight with me, a special guest in the studio, and I'll tell him in a moment, because you know Straight Talk is a program that always keeps you up to date. And in that context, I can say to you that as of March the 12th, there are some 49 or not bad, 44 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in St. Kitts. There are current active cases, so 43 cases confirmed, which there are currently 2 cases. Thank God to date there have been no deaths. There have been no deaths in the Straight Talk family. And I saw an interesting and troubling release from the National COVID-19 Task Force, the 14th of March, that's yesterday to be exact. And it reads, and I quote, "The COVID-19 Task Force is addressing security breaches that have occurred within the past 4 days on Nevis that had been offered guest evacuation quarantine. Guests who negative for COVID-19 upon arrival to utilize the services and amenities of the resort without leaving the property. Investigations have the first the incidents occurred Thursday evening and involved 2 guests who only left the resort's premises for approximately 2 hours. The second security breach just after midnight on Saturday morning and involved 6 guests who also managed to leave the resort's compound without authorization. The general public is advised that all 8 of the individuals have been from the resort and housed in a government site until their departure, while they await a hearing before the magistrate to answer the charges of breaking the country's quarantine regulations. In light of these successive security breaches, continues, which are serious offences, the task force has suspension in place for the 2 resort. All matters are fully investigated and satisfactory corrective measures to address security lapses put in place. As a result of these 2 security breaches and the fact that guests may have come in contact with a number of individuals at a night spot on Nevis, an aggressive contact tracing exercise has been started by the Ministry of Health. This will result in the quarantine and testing of the individuals who are close to the guests of the resort in an effort to control the spread of infection should any of the 8 guests test positive for COVID-19. National COVID Task Force vigilant in work all state agencies to protect countries as control the spread of infection and ensure enforcement of the COVID-19 Prevention Control Act and its related statutory rules and orders, or SROs. The task force will continue to provide regular updates on this active investigation, and that release dated March 14, which was a year Sunday in this year of our Lord 2021. I'm giving you an update as well, our family, and getting you to our guests tonight. We understand that there was some level or sort of protest in Basseterre, St. Kitts today, which involved members of the East Line Bus Association, or the East Bus Line Association, I think it's properly called. And we have in studio with us tonight its Secretary Treasurer, Mangra Mulchan, who is no stranger to Straight Talk, but he has volunteered his services tonight to the nation, bring some clarification on the issues. And Mangra, if you're there, say good night to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and say good night to the world.
Well, Mr. Liburd, good night, and I want to say good night to the world, as you said first, and then I'm going to say good night to the wonderful and beautiful country of St. Kitts and Nevis and all his citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Have you, hopefully, for most of the program, if you are so inclined. But first of all, tell us about the East Bus Line Association, Mangra.
Well, Mr. Patches, and to the general public, the East Bus Association was the first association in St. Kitts and Nevis in terms of buses, and we're still going strong. And today I think we demonstrate that we are stronger than ever because of the support that we had. And for the fact that the East Bus Association trying to do a service here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We feel proud to know that some people understand the kind of development St. Kitts and Nevis are at this stage, that they can appreciate. You cannot have buses operating as though 1940s, for say when I started running bus in 1990s. It's completely different. We have car boats coming in St. Kitts twice per month. So we can operate as is life as normal, because obviously traffic has been changed. So people need to understand that, you know, it's certain things that you can do as a business, and when you realize the business cannot pay it well, as people local palang, if the light can't pay for the dance, then you can't have the dance. So that is something that we in the East Bus Association is trying to do. Let the light pay, let the dance pay for the light, and not the other way around, Patrice.
Yes, I'm happy to hear. Tell me something. You said you're strong, or rather you're stronger than ever. But how long since the Bus Line Association has been established?
The East Bus Association was here since 1989. If I stand to be corrected, but since 1989, it was the first association in St. Kitts and Nevis, and then you had the West Bus Association. I'm not sure what date the time and frame what them came on, but the East Bus Association I think was from 1989, and the East. Then you have the West Bus Association. Then you had the Monkey Hill Bus Association. Then you have the Nevis Bus Association. And now we have another association in terms of the Sugar City Bus Association, but it's not registered as an association, it's registered as a business. And for some reason they have members from both the East and the West Line. So it's kind of a contradictory kind of system in terms of that association. So we're still trying to find out where does they sit. How do you speak for two different sets of members running on two different parts of the island when you have two associations on that same part of the island, which is West and East? And that has become a problem here for us in St. Kitts and Nevis in terms of the bus business, because of the fact the guys them who are in the Sugar City Bus Association feels like they can just go on the East Bus Line, they can go on the West Bus Line, and nothing affect them. And that's an issue that we are trying to iron out now. We don't have a problem doing the same thing, you know, because mind you, there is no stipulation right now as we speak to stop any buses from running right around the island of St. Kitts and Nevis. I can leave tomorrow morning and go to Nevis and operate my bus, whether it's Newcastle side or on Gingerland side. I can wake up tomorrow morning and go up to Monkey Hill, because there is no stipulation at the moment. But with the bus associations, we had discussions in terms of the presidents and the executive bodies to get this association to understand that, look, we can't be running business as usual because it's not working out. Everybody can be on the road. Somebody have to follow somebody. Somebody have to wait on somebody. And that's the cooperation we are not getting. And it put us in a situation at the East Terminal that the fact that the West Terminal and the Sugar City Association get this stuff sorted out in themselves, because of the fact the Sugar City members on the West side don't have a problem staying down there and join the queue. But we on the East side with the Sugar City members, they have a big song and dance about they're not coming in the prison. And they addressing the East Terminal as the prison. Well, Mr. Padges, I'm a free fellow. I'm a free person. I've never been to prison. I don't know what a prison look like inside. I don't know if they have tours that they can give me a tour, but I don't want to be in prison. And I am disappointed that these members of the Sugar City Bus Association that running on the east side gonna say to their passengers, anybody for the prison, and if anybody say yes, they go in, they drive right into the same terminal that we are operating on, the east terminal. So how it is that a passenger gonna feel that somebody gonna ask you if you're going in the prison and they're gonna say yes? So then you're telling me law and order is so easy to get rid of in this country that you're willing to go in a prison? Well, Patches, I would really love to see that there, that people would be willing to go in prison for some of the simple things of the law that they can break. Because if these busmen going down and dropping people all over the place where there is no bus stop, and you're gonna ask the person if they're going in the prison where there is a terminal, stated terminal, you're gonna ask them if they're going in the prison, but then yet still you go down the road and you stop where there is no bus stop. Patches, that's unfair.
Okay. Yes, I got you, and you said a mouthful there, Mangra, but obviously there are quite a lot of issues, and you mentioned the St. Peter's, and I'm sure Granny will be disappointed that you did not mention the St. Peter's Bus Association as well. So there are in fact 4 associations, if my memory serves me well, 2 on Nevis, or 3 officially on St. Kitts, and 1 on Nevis. And this other, you said Sugar City Bus Association, which is a registered company, and I believe it's registered under the Companies Act. So I don't know in terms of their relationships, in terms of the Traffic Safety and Public Service Drivers Board, and members of the association are on that board. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. The East President is one of the members on the board.
And the act is to representation of bus line as membership, just
yes,
being co-op, and the Nevis Bus Line Association as well. Is that correct?
Well, the way how the board has been set up, because of the fact that, as I said earlier, there was only 2 associations, the East Bus Association and the West Bus Association. So that was the setting up of the board, that the 2 presidents be on the transport board, because the transport board have taxi operators president, they have police officers, they have different people in tourism, they have different sectors a part of the transportation board. So that is how the 2 associations, the East and the West, had the members them on the board. And one of the East Bus and the West Bus president is no longer in St. Kitts and Nevis, so he don't have that post anymore. But there was nothing in place to replace him, so there was nominated for someone to represent him, which in that is Granny is Henry. I can't remember his full name right now, but yeah, he liked to say his name is Granny, so I think Granny was one who sits on the board along with Mr. Jeff Pemberton from the East Bus Association.
Okay, you outlined quite a lot of issues. No matter what is the issue that led to the protest today?
Well, Patches, it's been going for a while. I mean, since you were the minister for transport, and we had a number of meetings with you in the East Terminal, and we weren't satisfied with the fact that, well, the East Terminal is like a little way from town, and passenger was making complaints and them kind of stuff. But when the East Terminal opened, the first 2 weeks, it was okay because of the fact that people know they had to come to the terminal. But they had no issue until these guys realized, look, we don't have to go in there, because when people come, we just go across the road and we just stop where Brand Street, where we was before. Some of the guys them used to stop there and just load up and gone. So we realized, well, wait, we in the terminal, people coming up, but yet still you see them disappear. So that is something that was going on for since you was the minister. Okay, the new minister now is there, going for 2.5, 3 years now. The terminal needs some rectifying in terms of the entering and exiting, and maneuver around the terminal. So we have been going to meetings and had meetings with the transport board, had meetings with the police, and we feel disappointed that, we have to be going through this thing for so long, because of the fact we don't want to stop going down the downtown, as one of my colleagues said. We don't have a problem going downtown with the passengers. But if the law says there is a bus terminal and you have bus stops, and then you have the west terminal, people want to still stop where there is no bus stop, because of the fact that some of these outlaws, we call them quote unquote outlaws, stops everywhere, pick up people anywhere. And it's not supposed to be like that. If you have a terminal, then you use the terminal. If you have a bus stop, you use the bus stop. But we're not getting that there, and it triggers us because of the fact that we went to so much authorities to try and stop or try and improve on the bus system, in terms of the way that we can both cooperate with the east and the west. I'm not going to even put Monkey Hill in this, because I don't really have any evidence that Monkey Hill have an issue with any of the two association plus the business entity. I don't think they have any issues with that. So it just so happened that we are the one who feeling the squeeze, as they say. When you're in the kitchen, you feel the heat, and we are feeling the heat because of the fact you have 11 buses, as they say, but they didn't contain the one them that go to Passing Ground and Saddlers. So with my records, is 17 buses goes down on the west terminal, picking up passengers to go east, and we don't have a problem doing that. I'm Vinsha Mangra, and I can go down, and I don't carry down people every day, and some people ask me every day when they stop me, Bossman, you going down the terminal? But every day I carry you down the terminal, so why are you asking me that? Well, they say some busman don't want to go down there. Well, for the reason that the traffic, some of us, sometimes we look at the traffic, we say, okay, we can't go down the terminal right now, we can stay at the east terminal. Because you look at it, you go down the west terminal to drop off somebody, you don't have nobody to come back up with, you come back in the east terminal, you have 4 or 5 buses in front of you. And 4 or 5 buses in front of you, you check 5 buses at 15 passengers, that's 75 persons you have to wait. But if I did go in the east terminal at the same time, then 5 buses would have been behind of me. And that is what people need to understand. Going down the west terminal with passengers, we don't have a problem. But then you don't abuse the system that, well, oh, there is no police around here, so I can pick up anybody anywhere. People as passengers or commuters need to understand that there is rules. When a busman gonna break the law and stop where there is no bus stop, you get a ticket for $100, $150, sometimes $250. And we can't maintain that in a day. So how are we gonna pay a ticket that we can't maintain ourselves for the day to make that money? And this is what's been happening. And for some reason, the police officers, them, we've been crying out for, please, you have a job. We are trying to hold our job in terms of operating a bus business. So we are asking you, the police officer, we don't have nothing against you. If you do your job, we wouldn't have to say anything. We wouldn't have to say anything because of the fact you're doing your job. We have to respect your job. And I tell Officer Rouse.
Okay,
yes,
okay, Mangra, Winshaw Mangra. Now, we're gonna get into those details, but you mentioned more than one time, more than one occasion, about no problem with buses going down to the West Terminal, but the law permits that, and there have always been drivers that gone to the West Terminal. But my understanding, though, that the issue is that the majority of the members of your association are insisting that everybody should go into the terminal. I mean, do you think that's a fair position?
Well, Patches, as I always said, a terminal is terminal. If you travel outside of St. Kitts and Nevis, you would understand that a terminal is a terminal. So the problem what we had is the fact that some buses go downtown, they don't want to come in the terminal. Why we said the terminal to terminal is because of the fact if everybody come in the terminal, the passengers then would come to the terminal. You wouldn't have any breaches anywhere in between. All the passengers then would head to the East bus terminal. And for the fact that you're gonna say, passengers need to go downtown because that's where the action is. Everybody wants to be in the heart of the action. Nobody wants to work hard to get there, but they just want piece of the action. So suppose Patches now I want to be a rich man, and I work out. I don't want to be rich, but I want to be rich, but I don't want to work for it. What am I going to do? Now break the law? Well, Patches, that is wrong. You're not supposed to break the law to get rich. You're supposed to work for where you want to get rich. So we are suggesting, and in the meeting today, thank God for that, and I appreciate the cabinet. I must say that we thank the cabinet for inviting us to have a discussion, and we kind of pleased in terms of the discussion. We're still looking for the fruit to blossom and bear, so that we all can eat something out of the fruit. You know, like they say, Eden Garden, you know, you get the apple. Well, the apple gonna blossom, and when the apple get red, if some of us want to eat it green, then all of us eat apple. So that is something that we had a discussion today with the cabinet, and that is something that we're gonna look to with the government, that they're gonna provide some kind of a system that when you get off of the East Terminal, then you have some means to get to wherever in Bastille, the closest area you want to go to, or to the West Terminal if you want to go to, and some outer parts. But I don't want to speak too much on that because we just had the meeting today, and we have to wait on the cabinet to decide how they're gonna go ahead and do that there. But that is something that the East Bus Association would welcome, that, you know, we can drop off somebody at the East Terminal and there's some means of transportation to carry them on wherever other journey they got to go to, and vice versa. They go and down on the West Terminal, or if they're there somewhere in Bastille, they can get something to come up to the East Terminal.
Okay, I was gonna ask that because you would have left out the passengers who are the crux of your business. So if you are insisting you go to the East Bus Line terminal, then you have to provide, you know, some link between the terminal and Bastille, because one of the difficulties we had in even constructing the terminal is how people get from downtown, if you're shopping, to come all the way up to the East Bus Terminal. So I'm glad you raised that issue. So you're saying there ought to be a service between the terminal to and from the West and East. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Patrick, that's something that I don't want to really say it, but that is something we discussed today with the ministers, them, and the whole parliament, the whole cabinet, and that is something we discussed, that yes, we have to do something for the passengers, and that is why I'm saying all the time that we don't have a problem going down on the West Terminal, dropping off the passengers then, go down fire station where the next bus stop is, drop off the passengers then. We don't have a problem with that. And that's the discussion the government came up with. So, okay, you propose something XYZ. We said yes. We proposed that some Uber system. I didn't want to say that, you know, Patrice, but it's straight talk we are. So we talk straight. Some sort of a shuttle service or something like that between the East Terminal and the West Terminal, whether going by Rams, whether going up on 4th Street, you know, somewhere, like if you want to go by the church. If somebody's sick and they want to go to the hospital, you have that shuttle service, that when you reach the terminal, you have that luxury to yourself. You know, because the St. Kitts have a lot of traffic right now. And then you have the stoplights them now, which makes it more, a little more organized in terms of controlling the traffic. So why it is you want to get the bus them now to come into town to make it more congested? You know, and that's the reason why the East Terminal was built. For us to get out of Brand Street, for the load of traffic blocking up and the loader, you know, the other stuff then that we used to go through in Band Street. You know, so
yeah, I know that history. Before I go to the lines, because I want to include our cause, because I'm sure the listeners out there, our Straight Talk family will have, I would need the input as well. You seem to be suggesting that there's a we versus them in terms of the police and the bus drivers. But the police, both from St. Kitts and Nevis, are members of the traffic, public safety and public service drivers, or traffic safety, beg your pardon, public service drivers board, I think that's what it's called. So why would there be an issue between the police and the drivers? That can be dealt with at the board level.
Well, the board have been having that conversation forever, Patrice. And for me, based on the report that my president reports to us, that the representative for the police was like going around the bush. Don't want to say, well, okay, it's unfair for buses to go down on the West Terminal and pick up passengers and fly past the East Terminal and still pick up passengers outside there. So it was an issue in terms of the representative from the police, that it was controversial. That you're saying, no, it shouldn't happen. But yet still, you're letting it happen. And, you know, I'm still thinking that the board, as we discussed today, that the board have to take a serious stand in terms of making the policies and getting the system sorted out in terms of what we discussed today, in terms of getting shuttle service or Uber service, you know, to do these kind of stuff, because of the fact that the police cannot be everywhere. And that's what the representative keeps saying when he got on the board. He said, oh, the police cannot be everywhere. They're trying to do their best. But still people breaking the law, and we getting the worst. We don't want anything worse.
Okay, Vinshaw, we're going to go to the lines any moment now, with your permission. But just to ask this question, simple question, because I always promoted consultation before confrontation. Did it have to come to this?
Yes, Patrice, as I said, we had been exhausted. It's been tiring. Going through the same thing every day, every night, and people getting worse. Imagine your own colleagues, bus drivers that you used to light up every single time, now cussing you. Say, oh, me ain't joining you. I ain't following what you doing, because that ain't making me not make no money from that. So it's exhausting, and we have been tired trying to get people understand, look, if the system can work both ways, let's work it both ways. If not, let's work it in a way that all of us can survive. But no, some people going out there and saying, oh, don't study them there. They ain't carrying you where you want to go. But Patrice, for 14 years I have my bus. I've been doing my service for 14 years. And you know, some customers that I used to go to the door to pick them up, to bring them to work, go and pick them up from wherever they are, take them back home. Before we used to get bus stops in town. And now these people is telling me, oh, you're fighting down the system. But no, I'm not fighting down the system. I used to do the favor for you. But things have developed and things change. So we need to sort this out and get it fixed. And we didn't have no other choice than to do this here today, because of the fact that we're exhausted. We cannot take the pressure anymore. The pipe is gonna blow. And before the pipe blow, we have to take that stand today to let people understand that we don't have any issues with doing bus business just like everybody else. If they want to break the law, or if they want to run wherever they want to, let the government put back in the bus stops all over in town, we can do it too. We agree to do all of that if that's the case. If that the government feel that put back all the bus in town, we don't mind. But the government said no, they build a terminal, that can't happen. So then you got to find an alternative. Put something in place now that people can traverse between the two terminals, because we didn't agree to the East Terminal to be like that. And Patches, we need shelters over on the terminal, as we said in the meeting today. So I hope the Minister in charge of infrastructure, Mr. Richards, understand that we need some shelters, and when the construction gonna be going on to renovate some of the concern that we had in the terminal.
Okay, it's now 21 minutes before the 9 o'clock hour, and there's no straight talk without an interaction with the straight talk family. They are the ones who make straight talk. I'm going to open the lines now, but I always like to implore you when I do so, which will be in a few seconds. I anticipate that you will respect others, and of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things we say and do will be beneficial to concern. And I always implore you, the things you say and do, make certain that we will result in having kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, at 20 before 9, I go to the lines. Caller, you're live. I do thank you for holding.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, the bossman.
Good evening, sir.
Yes. You sound very well, eh? But I am a commuter, right? And I cannot see a board functioning without commuters on the board. Because listen to me, the police cannot speak for the commuter. You, the busman, cannot speak for the commuter. Only the commuter can speak to the commuter. So all the rules you are making without the commuter is irrelevant to the commuter, because the commuter is supposed to have a representative there to represent us. And always they sound good, but nothing is mentioned about with the commuters. Come back to the bus terminal now. The one up there at Passport at Wellington Road. That also sounds good. Who going to pay the transportation from Hartford to down the bay and back? That's what I want to know. And if we had a commuter on the board, we would get ourselves together and get those questions solved. And don't tell me in 2021 you're going to tell me I live in the rural east. I want to go as far as the bus terminal and have to find money to go down there and back. Come on, man. I got to be crazy people, and we got to come better on this. And I trust and hope the authorities are listening. And commuter people, are you calling and voice your opinion, because this cannot work. And listen, my friend, let me tell you something. You mentioned about the bus system, eh? Me born with that. And you're talking about 1940. I agree, because it's 2021. But in those times, we come to town from the east and we expect to go at the bay, not at Hartford, and catch a next transportation. But how come those from Sandy Point area are going to come and go down the bay, and we from the east must be 3/4 of the way? Why I got to be crazy? I got to be crazy. I know what I'm doing. And the authorities have to come and listen to us, the commuter, and let us share with you. And lastly, you talk about bus stop. So then the amount of money the government put down to put down those bus stops, what you telling me now? Those bus stops would be irrelevant? Why I got to be crazy? You all have to be crazy. The bus stop cannot be irrelevant, because that is there to help us as the elders. And when you got the middle passenger, he got to make a stop and he got to go to what? Listen to me, mister. I better come better on that. Go back to the drawing board, see? Thank you.
Thank you, caller. We go back to the lines. I'll have you respond momentarily, Winshaw. But I go back to the lines at 17 before 9. Caller, you're live.
Good evening, Honorable.
Good evening.
Yes, that is what I don't really understand certain things that the gentleman there is saying. Now, when they come from in the country area and they come there by Hartford, that's the deadline stop. They could continue to go down the bay. Now, I think they should be able to go down the bay, but they should not be able to pick up from down the bay. If they got the regular customers who don't want to drop off down the bay. They drive down there, drop off the customers in the outer lane, turn around and head back up. And they cannot pick up nothing on the way up. You know? So I would be glad if they could give them the opportunity to do that and then enforce the ticket laws. You know, because I can understand that you can tell me that they can make preparation for the customers to get down the bay. You know, what they can do, you know, simply, they can have a bus there and all of them because the association they got. So what they do, a bus stay there and say, well, look, you take he down the bay. That one go down the bay and come back up here. You understand me? And that is how it should work. You can't make demands and tell the government what they want from what they don't want to do, and because this ain't working out for them and that ain't working. There's a whole lot of things ain't working out for people. You got people now going to bring the car in town. Because the way how the law is set up now with the stoplight, you're going to have to put yourself in position to start to bring people to town. Because there will be no parking space in town for no private cars and all of them. So they're in for making some money. But they're going to have to do it responsibly. And another one, they need to keep the bus clean. Another two, they need to stop smoke the marijuana in the bus. But when people go in there, the people don't smell the marijuana when they get out. And all of that, these just things people talking about. You know, what is upsetting the people them who taking buses. It's not nobody here want to take a bus. But when a man take a bus or a woman take a bus, they're going to work, and when they reach into the job, they smell of marijuana, they need to do something about that. And all that depends on the police too. The police need to come with some strict laws and deal with it. You either stay in the bus business or you get to go look a job somewhere else. And treat the people them like they're citizens that think it. You know? Alright, thank you very much, Patrick, and you just there to listening to me.
Thank you, Mr. Rock. Then we got to the Patches.
Let's go back to the lines. Call.
Yes, good night.
Good night.
I agree with the gentleman, dear Mr. Patches. Because if a terminal is a terminal, he goes through the terminal. Every bus man from the east side should go through the terminal. If they want to go down to the west side, they go. And they can turn around and come back and go back through that terminal. A terminal is a terminal. A bus stop is a bus stop. So if you have a terminal and bus stop, and they want to go further than the terminal, they have to stop by every bus stop going down and coming back up. They stop by the bus stop and the terminal and go straight to where they are going. Everybody, every bus driver should go through that terminal. They shouldn't cut nothing. I don't see them cutting nothing. They should go to the terminal. If they want to stay, let them stay in the terminal. But they should go to the terminal and then go down to the west bus stop and come back up also, using the bus stop and the terminal. Good night, Patches, and have a very good night. Okay? Thank you. Bye.
Have a good night as well. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you are live.
Patches, good evening.
So.
And good evening to the taxi driver, the bus driver.
Good night, sir.
I picked up a bus today and I went to water department. In coming back, I jumped in another bus. Bus went through the terminal, the east bus terminal. The driver said, anybody wants to go down to, anybody going into town? Some people said yes. Some people who weren't going jumped off. The bus driver drove down to the bus terminal, in the East Bus Terminal, and put up the passengers. I've seen that happen many times before. I am confused by what is happening now. When the bus terminal was at Grand Street, the same thing happened. People came down to Grand Street, some jumped out at Grand Street, some went down to the terminal in Bastille when there was no bus terminal, East Bus Terminal. I've seen the bus drivers come down from the East Bus Terminal, drive to the bus terminal, go down to the West Bus Terminal, drop out people, pick up people who are going to the east. And when they get to the bus terminal on the east, they are not allowed to pick up passengers, because they're not allowed to pick up passengers. If they pick up passengers, they would still have to go into the East Bus Terminal and stay in the line. There's no advantage that I notice. I am confused by what you're saying. You have to explain that to me properly. I don't understand it. The buses come from the east, go to the bus terminal, drop out the passengers who drop out in the bus terminal, and they go down to the West Bus Terminal, drop out who wants to drop out, and drive back up to the East Bus Terminal. And they are not allowed to pick up any passengers outside of the bus terminal on the East Bus Terminal. There are traffic wardens and people there who will give them a ticket. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. No, I know that the calls are coming in, but I want the Secretary Treasurer of the Association to respond to some of the calls. And in particular, that last caller said people are confused. One caller said the terminal is a terminal. One thing I wanted to address as well, Winshaw, Mangra, is when you pay a fare, for example, from Cairn to Basseterre, does that fare take you or cost business are those regulated? Does that fare you go to the bus line terminal? And again, the issue, I want you to react to these issues that were raised.
Yes, Patches. Let me start with the last gentleman, the fourth caller that we had. He said he take a bus from the East Terminal, go to Water Department, take a next one from Water Department, come back to the East Terminal, and the bus driver asks if anybody going to the West Terminal. And he noticed that the buses that decide to go down to the West Terminal did not pick up anybody and come back up to the East Terminal. Well, caller, I do respect your opinion and what you saw, but we have enough evidence that buses that leave from Molyneux, passing ground, come to Saddlers, come into the East Line, that have some buses that don't come back up to the... Even if we have something like that, we already proposed that. And that is why they put, you drop off, if anybody there to pick up, you pick up. But these law breakers, the pirates them, they stay down on the West Terminal because of the fact that they feel like they are part of a next association. I don't know why they're doing it, but for some reason we can't get the remedy for us to work together. Because we had meetings and discussed that if you go down, we didn't stop it, We did not stop it. Let me make it clear. The East Bus Association did not object for any buses to go down to the West Terminal. But what we are saying, when you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 buses go down to the West Terminal, picking up passengers, staying down there, filling up, and come back up, and still, if you're not full, you come back up on Brand Street and Wellington Road, and you're still picking up people off where there is no bus stop. So if they had followed that procedure, that you go down to the West Terminal You drop off your passengers them, you come back up at the east lineup. You join the queue on the east because you're going back to the east. If that was happening, Carla, we would not have been on the protest today. Because we would not have complained that way that we have a problem with the system. But because of the fact that you can't find bus drivers being sincere enough that, you know what, man, I'm doing a business, this is my fellow competitor. He's doing a business too. But if I'm going to take an unfair advantage, then he would have a problem. Because I'm going to say this, it's two companies in St. Kitts and Nevis that brings in the most vehicles. And if one try to outrun the other one, I'm sure they're going to go to the government as well. So what's the difference with a bus association feeling something going wrong to say, you know, let's stop it now because it's not fair. So Carla, the call number 4, you mentioned that you see, but well, if that was happening, sir, we would not have been here today, tonight on this program, and we would not have had the meeting today to discuss these matters. The lady that says terminal to terminal, that is what we're saying, terminal to terminal. But then the government is saying that yes, terminal to terminal, let's put something in place. So that's where the recommendation come in today. That was the discussion that we had today in the meeting. You know, we don't want to stop it, but because of the system right now, we have to do something different. So we gotta put the government along with all the stakeholders, and as the first caller said, that we should have the commuters in the discussion. Well, I take his point. I would agree. But who you would have as the commuters to come in the discussion? Then that would put the government in a situation that, you know, you're gonna have to go to all the villages. Well, how are you gonna get the commuter? How you gonna decide who commuter represent all of them? And that's the issue we'll be having in terms of the presidents in the associations. That some presidents feel like they can get the members to do whatever they feel like is best for them to do. If that was the case for us at the East Terminal, we would not have been here. Once again, we would not have been here if the presidents them for the other association them would agree that, look, I'm going to let my members flow with the same system that we have in terms of the East Terminal. And we're going to get my members to flow the same thing as the West Terminal. And let me add Granny, because Patrick just said Granny might get vexed that we now call Monkey Hill. But as I said before, we don't have an issue with Monkey Hill system, because we don't see any infringement or any law breaking going on with Monkey Hill buses coming on either side. I don't see it on the east side, so I don't speak for the west, but I can see it on the east side. So okay. That is why I don't really want to mention Monkey Hill so much, because of the fact I don't have an issue with them. I don't see the law breaking from them. So with the callers, number 2, drop off people down the bay and then bring back up nobody. Bring back up people and you just go straight, I come in the line. That's a discussion we had as well. It's not like we didn't do all the discussions, you know. We did the discussions. But now it's like we seems to be the bad one because of the fact that people not listening. The transport board, the PS today, was very, very disappointed in the fact that this thing's still happening, because they had a meeting with the outlaws that we call the outlaws on the east side, because they're outlaws, they're pirates, they're robbing us. The PS today was disappointed in terms of the load of things they tried to do with the police, the member for the transport board at the time, the Inspector Mills, Superintendent Mills, sorry. He invited them to come to the board meeting to discuss how they're going to go about doing this thing. And they say, okay, they agree that, well, it's unfair, and so they're going to try to do something different. And yet still these guys just going down there and just, well, did we have the meeting? No. And that's the system we're going on. It's like everybody ignoring everybody. And we who trying to follow the law, stay within the bus terminal system, is getting squeezed. And people watching us like we don't want to do anything for people. But I'm going to say this to you again. Okay. The East Bus Association wants the people to feel comfortable. We want to feel comfortable in the bus terminal. And We don't want to smell like weed. But sometimes passenger come in your bus, from the time they jump in the bus, it's like you want to know what's going on out there. Not even the mask right now protecting some of the smell sometimes when passenger jump in the bus. But not the bus driver smoke. I don't smoke weed patches, I don't smoke cigarette. So anybody can kiss me. I don't have a sting breath. Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna go back to the lines and entertain our callers, my Straight Talk family. But I want to make the point though that the East Bus Terminal is just about 30 or 40 yards from the unofficial terminal on Branch Street and St. Johnson's Street, right? At the East Bus Terminal, I heard you made mention about shelter. But before the East Bus Terminal was constructed, the commuters were exposed to the vagaries of the weather. There was no way to shelter. There were dangers of the traffic. You had to stand in the street. And the government, in its wisdom, thought we would improve the transportation system and sector by constructing that terminal. The washroom or the bathroom were in the drains on Branch Street. You had, as you see, bus drivers would pull out their wheelie and jump in the drain and do what they had to do. But that thing has changed. There are bathrooms at the terminal, and once the terminal is run properly in terms of restaurants and so on, there's a phase 2 to that should have been already constructed. I don't know where it is at this moment. But let's go back to the lines, my Straight Talk family, at 9:01. The caller, thank you for holding. You're live.
Hello? Yeah, okay, yeah, good night, man. How you, man?
Good night, caller.
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to make a quick contribution. Yeah, you called them so far, man, made some great, observations. I'm just trying to find out, is there a transit system, meaning like transfer? Are they using the bus terminals as transfer points? To me, what I'm observing is that some persons just seems like they're just out to break the law and break the rules. And, you guys got to get that stuff organized, man. Now that the economy is turned down, these type of problems should be sorted out so that when the economy picks up, everything will be in place and things will be running smoothly. But those terminals and those bus stops should be utilized, man. Otherwise, it's as if like the government wasted the money to put those things in place. But, it just seems like there must be some type of transfer station coming from the east into town and going westbound. I don't know if those things are in place, but I just wanted to contribute that way tonight. All right, thanks, man.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you. We go back to caller. You're live.
Good night, Patrick. Good night. And good night to Mr. Manro here.
Mangra, sir, Mangra.
Mango, Mr. Mango, yeah.
Yeah, you could say Mango too, because I will be getting all the time in thinking it's a Nevis. Mango.
Oh, your title sound different, man. You're a Guyanese now?
No, I am from Cunningham Estate, local, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. Mango. Yes. Now, I hear coming on different radio talk shows and raising your concern about the bus problem you got at the East Terminal. That drivers coming down, other bus coming down, picking up passengers, and then you all up there parking up, and then nothing much doing for you all up there. But what I want to try to tell you that if you cannot do the same thing too, since the police doing them nothing, the traffic ain't doing them nothing, they're coming down and pick up people, you all should have come down and do the same thing too. Because in the situation right now, everybody looking at dollar, especially in this point of this COVID, lockdown and so, and everybody was locked down, people out of job, and everybody trying to look a dollar, hospital make a dollar, people go hospital and them to pay for the bus. And these things gonna happen. It's something like the vending now, You understand? This bus thing something like the vending now. Out of control. And I believe that if you are the dude what those other bus drivers doing, I believe that the traffic department and the authorities don't put something in place. You understand? Instead of what happened today. You understand? You also, when you go to Rome, you do what the Romans do. You understand? And I believe that something should have done put in place with you all, because here you come in and raising a concern about the problem all the time. That is what I'm trying to tell you. That you are up there, who park up there, could come down and do the same thing these men are doing too. Because the West bus drivers, them have a problem too. They said that the settlers bus them, they would go right round, they go right round and they clean the road come up. And they're supposed to come the area. They're supposed to come west and they come round and pick up passengers the same way too. So I'm telling you that this is like a fighting thing to make a little dollar. Especially under the COVID, the fight of this COVID, people got the family to feed, they got the bus to pay, they got their bills to pay, and this thing gonna happen. So all you got to do, you all should do the same thing anyway. Not to say that you are always so concerned on where you are today. I have no problem with it, because this is what the country wants. People go out and exercise their rights for what they want. All right then.
Thank you, Carlo.
Thank you very much. Let's go back to the lines at 5 Apollo. You're live. Hello, caller.
Okay, you got me now. Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Patches, and good evening, Mr. Mango.
Good night, Mr. Culture.
Yes, man. I hope when I finish making my input, those who are not educated about what they want to talk about, they would be educated tonight here. Look, the law is the law. Order is order. Bus stops were made to drop off passengers and pick up passengers. And I am agree with Rock and you and the guy there in the States and other callers. If you come in from Keon to town and the bus pull up in the terminal up east, and then he asks, anyone of you want to go downtown? And two of them say yes. Then he say, okay, jump in, let's go. And he turn off and he go down at the West Line terminal and he drop them off and he make a circle and come back up and go back in the bus station. Don't stay on Grand Street, because it's a lot of reason why the government moved the bus stop from down Grand Street, because we know a lot of things used to go on down there. And so therefore now there is no reason for that. The people down there can live healthy. But what to? You cannot take one wrong and join another wrong and get right. So not because people going down there, everybody should go down there and do the same thing. Then it's a hell of a big load of clown confusion will be in town. That's why they build the bus stop up there. Thin up the crowd and the confusion. Now, Monkey Hill is the law. You could look at the pattern of Monkey Hill bus and you could call it the law, because they don't have that kind of confusion like what we all have here from the east and those who go right or wrong. Now everybody don't want to join in the gang. It's like you go to the bank and you go in the door and a long line in there and you say, oh my God, me ain't going in a line, man. And you go out the bank and you go to the backyard of the bank and come in the back door. And you come in the room in there now in front of the long line and you give the teller, and fix up this for me, fix up this, me want to go in the line. And the teller do it. That is wrong. Go in the line like everybody else. Waste your time, not waste, wait your time in the line,
Carl, it's amazing you said
everybody do that. What happened?
It's amazing you saying that.
Yeah, I'll get out there and come back with something else. I'll listen to you. Okay?
Thank you very much. Caller, we go straight back to the lines. At 9:08, caller, you are live.
Mr. Bassett, good night.
Good night, sir.
Now, everybody talking, but I just in the terminal nearly every afternoon. Since the terminal there, people just ask me if you're working there. And the thing that Remy does see, I said, my God, but man will come from country, put off the people there, and they gone down the West Terminal.
And most of the buses come back up, gone in the line. They don't bring up nobody. Other buses, when they go down there, mine, they ain't full enough. They come back up in the terminal, and me to hide and see they stop by one of the bus in front of the terminal and call out the passengers them to go in the bus, and then he gone country, and then to kill people there stand up and nothing happen. So I was looking for this thing to happen long time because a lot of injustice happening in the terminal. Me from the east. So me know what's going down. People will go in the terminal, bus will come in the terminal, go on the parking lot and call people from out of the buses them. And when they're done, they're gone. But go down the terminal, west terminal, come back up, and they stop outside and pick up people who going in the terminal, calling them, full of the bus, and they're gone. And then the busman them in the terminal stay for 2 hours before they get a trip. So me was looking for this thing to happen long time, because the busman them in the terminal, they are seeing health pressure. If they go in the terminal 4 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock, the motherfuckers are in there. And them connecting the wrong. So when we hear people come on and the Satan and talking nonsense, I say, my God, them don't know what's going down. So Mr. Project, see you. I ain't like nothing, too much thing to say more than that, and we're coming back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Bible man, you've said quite a lot. You go straight back to the lines, your life.
Patches, good night.
Good night, my brother. Jam down.
How are you? Where the topic be? The busman them today?
Yes, my brother.
Well, Patches, I want to speak about a serious problem, but I'm going to share it for another time. So I'm going to give a little brief input on what happened today. Patches, it look to me, right? Since we left this country, we got some man with our church street and then adding here right. And I know how we gonna be. You understand? For years now, a busman been coming on your show and talking about the problem. And it's really a problem. You need police patrol up there to direct what's going on up there. And up there and down the ferry terminal must combine. But we don't go wrong. It's a problem, you know. It's a problem because the Chinese place had no call down there. The problem could have rectified, you know. The problem could have rectified long time. But a bad manager we had here do what he wanted down there. And that is why that they're creeping in that kind of problem. Because some of these men up in the East Bus Line Terminal, they're going to work with one another. When it's greed, it's enough for each and every one of us greed, but not to satisfy the need for real, you know, Patches. And this is the problem we getting in St. Kitts, you know. And we got man, the hear us falling out about a lot of things. And they're doing nothing, you know. Now today I understand, you know, that the Board of Social Security don't tell director to move the woman from down there by the Social Security building. And he won't move her. I ain't know what kind of collision then. Patches, right now Jam don't upset, eh? I really upset with a lot of things.
Calm down, Jam down.
Me ain't no hushing thinking tonight, down here. Have a good night.
Have a good night, dear, my dear brother. Jam down. Now, we've had a few callers. Winshaw, you want to react?
Yes, Patches. The gentleman would said terminal need to be used and bus stop need to be used. I want to tell the gentleman that that is something we have been trying to get done, but it's not been happening, and that's the kind of issue why we had to go on the road today, because of the fact that it's not working. And the police, again, as I said, I don't like to bash the police because of the fact that I talk to the police. I speak to the police them on a daily basis. Mr. Henry, Superintendent Henry, would know that I complained about the fact that the District A police officers fail to perform their duty because of the fact I get a ticket for asking a police officer a question. Why it is you have these buses that are running east, stopped in the west terminal, parked, I don't drop off my passenger, done already go out to the terminal, come back around, the bus still there parked, so obviously he parked there to pick up passengers to have a full trip. You know, the police officer said to me, pull over. So after she said pull over, I said, officer, what are you telling me pull over for? So I take my phone out of my hand to record it, because you know that's technology in St. Kitts and Nevis now. I am in a terminal, I'm not driving on the road. When they say you want to use your phone, you pull off the road, you don't let nobody way. I ain't blocking the traffic or nothing. The police officer said to me, pull over. I said, pull over where? And I have that video in my phone patches. So she said, next thing she said, you blocking the traffic? So I come off my phone, I drive around the terminal once again. The bus is still over there picking up person, and she didn't answer me question up to now. Why the bus over there is still filling up when it's not in the queue? If you're in the queue, I can't tell you nothing. If you go in the queue for East Terminal, for go East, there is no law can stop us from doing that either. So when one of the callers said that, I think it's politics, Mr. Politics, said that, well, go down there too, run just like the rest of them. But that is what we've been saying to the police. If all 42 members of the East Bus Association come out of the East Terminal and operate just like the rest, what happened in the traffic? You can tell how much confusion that would be. And that is what we're trying to avoid. That is why we are not doing the same thing that they are doing. We are trying to go with the law. But the law still need to understand that they need to provide the duty in terms of satisfaction to the whole entire nation. You can't want to get some people benefit. And you know, Patches, when Superintendent Mills was at the traffic department, he asked me to send the buses that don't come in the East Terminal, send me the numbers so that he can look it up and he can talk to them. And we had that conversation, he had that conversation, he invited them to the transport board, and they're still breaking the law. They're still doing as they like, because they walk out, they ain't coming on the East Terminal. When we was on Brand Street, they walk out, they ain't coming on Brand Street. So what these people really want, Patches, I mean, they're willfully doing these things. We can't allow these things to happen, Patches. It does not help St. Kitts and Nevis development. That's how I see it, and that's how most of the East Bus Association members see it. It's not healthy for the development of St. Kitts and Nevis. When it comes to Mr. Culture, he said go down, come back up. Culture, we tried that so many times. We tried that so many times. We had discussions. Okay, everybody go down, you empty out down there, you carry your people down there, you empty out down there, you come back up. But that still left the void in terms of people getting back up to the East Terminal. They gotta walk. And the discussion today in Parliament that we gotta cater for the people and going and coming, which we agree all the time. We never had a dispute with that. We never ever had a dispute with that. And the discussion today is that the government is gonna look into some kind of system that they could put in, whether the businesses provide some kind of service to get the patrons them to the terminals. Because for right now, let's for instance Rams get the trolley them carrying down stuff them to the West Terminal for people. We have a big supermarket right next to the East Terminal. So when we're gonna talking about going downtown, and the next supermarket next to the East Bus Terminal, something that people to shop to, but I never see a bus from West come to the East Terminal for passengers to go west. I never see that a bus that comes to the east terminal saying they're picking up people to go to west. And this is the problem we are having. People cannot want to have up and down system. You have to have a system that can manage with the people that commuting and the bus operators that come operating a business. And this is the issue. We don't have a problem, you know. If anybody come talk to us tomorrow and say, okay, like for instance, the Sugar City Bus Association, for instance, them 11 buses were going to Molyneux. If they come tomorrow and ask to have a conversation with the executive of the East Bus Association, that we can work it out together, I don't think anything would have been going wrong. But you know what happened? These guys that and that association, they are so pompous right now that they're proud to say they're making $500 when we could make $30. You know what somebody said to me? Oh, if this not work for you, why not go back where you come from? Well, when we supposed to go back to Cunningham Estate Law, that's where I'm from. That's where I'm from. And I can talk about the fact that Jamdong was saying that when you get a big Chinese building down there in Port Zante, I'm not going to discriminate to any businesses and whatever, because they go to the government and the government see it fit for them to have a business. I'm not going to cut that business. I'm not going to cut the structure. But he's right. That should have been a foresight for us, for the government, whichever government, to see before all the development happened on Port Zante. Patches, in the early 1990s, when I could have walked out, you know where was my first kiss? To the back of the old Treasury building, when you had the bridge them there, the pier. That was my first kiss. When you had the old Treasury building with the bridge, where the boats them used to come there, the wooden pier. Thank you, sir. Yes, that was my first kiss. And you know where I used to go catch me snapper, Patches? And the lower pier. I used to go down there and get some nice snapper on the lower pier down there and put some behind the Treasury building. So when people gonna tell me if this now work for me?
Yes, before we go back to the lines, Mangra, right? I did pose a question earlier. I don't think you responded to it. So perhaps an oversight. Just for the callers, and I've heard talk about a shuttle service. The fares are regulated. It's a fare from DP to Basseterre, from Care to Bassi, Molyneux to Bassi, and so on. Am I correct?
Yes, Patches, yes, you are.
Fine. So when you pay a fare from Molyneux or from DP or Saddlers to Bastia, where does your journey end?
Most of the time, the buses that come from DP to Bastia via west, it ends at the ferry terminal. And that is the issue still that can ties into the issue that we are having. That when you come from Saddlers coming east, when you reach to Baker's Corner or the other road there, Patches that we used to drop, it's not coming to my head right now, but when we used to drop off people there,
Johnson Street.
Johnson Street, yes. When we used to drop off Johnson Street, that was it, your fare is done there. But for some reason, the east buses still goes down to the west terminal without any extra charge. If you want to go to the industrial site, some buses take $4, some buses take $1 extra, but some buses still don't do it. So it's still a structure that need to be looked at in terms of fares. But our thing was not to raise enough fare or nothing. You know, whoever want to take the normal $3 coming from Molyneux, you want to take your normal $2.50 to go down the west. We doing the same thing. It's not an issue for us in terms of the fare.
The authorities with the fares, if I can use the term, from DP to Bastia, it envisaged going down to the west bus terminal though.
Yes, for now.
Yes or no?
Yes, for now it is, yes.
Okay. Now, we're going to go back to the lines, my Stray Dog family. It's 24 after 9 o'clock. In the event you have just joined us, we have with us in studio Winsha Mangwa Muchan, who is the Secretary Treasurer of the East Bus Line Association, or the East Bus Association. And we were sitting on today's action take bus drivers in relation to some issues that were raised. So, because of these issues, before I take that call, this email reads, these busmen are very selfish. They are just thinking of themselves and not the passengers. To walk miles to get on a bus, the problem with them is that they are putting things in place without thinking them through properly, and then they end up shooting themselves in their feet. They feel that they were not making enough money, but they have to realize that a high percentage of the people who travel on the bus are now out of work. They are making it very difficult for passengers, and whether they believe or not, passengers are going to find other means of getting back and forth, so the bus service will suffer more. Finally, the bus drivers need to start obeying the COVID protocols. Also, lots of them are saying that they won't be taking the vaccine. This caller was so on point, he could not have put it any better. Reads this email. This other email reads, so Winshaw, based on what you are saying, if I come from Nevis and I'm going to Cairn, that I should drag my heavy bag all the way up to the East Terminal to catch a bus, or maybe I should borrow money to pay a taxi. You keep talking. Are you certain that some of the things you speak of are laws? I'll give you an opportunity to respond quickly to those two emails, Winshaw.
Yes, Patches, with the one to say that the bus drivers are ungrateful. I think he have it the other way around. Because we are doing a business, we're providing a service. And if we're going to be doing this thing all the time, providing a service, as I said earlier, I used to go to people's house for no extra fee. I, as a bus driver, used to go to people's houses and pick them up for no extra fee. So when the emailer said that we are being ungrateful, I would strongly disagree, because that is not that is incorrect. And the last one, in terms of I don't know where to start, because the fact that we are still contemplating how it is successful for us to do every single thing that people and passengers want, but yet still we cannot get anything that we want. We have a family too. We need to eat. I have 3 kids. They need to eat. So why it is that every single thing that we are saying, it seems to be contradictory towards the law and order in St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis is only one country that we can do the lawful thing. I don't see it to be a problem. We need to come together, that's all.
Okay. Back to the lines. A caller. I thank you for holding.
Good evening. And good evening to the busman there.
Good evening, madam.
I am calling from the best alley in St. Kitts, and most of the busmen know where that is.
Station alley?
I am a young lady, have trouble with my feet. And it's hard for me. I don't do my business up Value Mart. I have my business in the middle of town. So you're going to watch me, Mr. Venture, and tell me, when I jump in a bus, my last stop supposed to be in the terminal up here, with my foot condition, have to park all the way down town to do my business in town? Let me tell you, see how hard it is for me. They used to have the bus stop by the stand and they stop it. So I can't jump out by the stand now to go by the National Bank. I have to journey all the way down to the terminal to come all the way back up to the bank. And me and miss up them doesn't we? And then I have to trot from the bank to go all into town. Sometimes all up by the electric light department. And then I come downtown and I buy my grocery, my shopping, that everything. And you can tell me, Mr. Vincher, is it right for me, an elderly young lady, with my bags, to go all the way up to the East Terminal with my bags and make put them good? Oh, you must remember that I come from old. And me ain't see the outlaw them doing nothing wrong. Eh? When you passing lots and says the outlaws, they are not the outlaws because they are doing as human service for the young elderly people then. All like me. Where you know we stop in the East Terminal and chat everybody business and mind everybody business. That's why I target you. Have a good night.
Okay, young lady. Okay, young elder lady.
Thank you, caller, young old lady. This at 9:30. You're right to the bottom of the hour. A caller, you are live.
Yes. Good evening, Honorable Patrick. You're the man they have a whole handful, and you forget we are the callers. We want to call you A1. But a lot of the buses them, they don't behave themselves because last week I came on a bus from 2 boys and I tell him man my money with 250 for the price that I give. And I'm telling the man, please to give him a change because he giving everybody the change and he give me. And a young girl, he pick me up, says he not going with money and he like a puppy show in the bus. And he is saying, Miss, leave the lady alone, let me give the lady the money. And he's from Sandy Point. So a lot of them like this have a puppy show. So when these things happen to them, I sell for some of them, but me I sell for them. Not because they have to pay the bank for the bus. So when we as passengers go on, they got other people who is passenger and supporting them with the wrong. You don't pay. Pass back the change then now. You're holding on until the people supposed to make it nice for the change. That's why you make it nice for my change. So it's a good program, but I want a bus terminal for St. Peter's. Because you still live there. Right? Because we go set up in the sun and a small set thing where you all give these as a bus terminal. I don't know why it be. And all the buses might be by yourself. Because now you got to pay the bank and the bank take a lot of buses there. So everybody trying to get the dollars. See you. Have a good night, but me and there, will you promise me?
Okay, wait, let's go back to the lines. At 28 before 10 o'clock, call your line.
I believe that with that emailer who said that the bus drivers them ungrateful. I don't think the bus drivers them ungrateful. It's the passengers them ungrateful. I believe that we got one of the best bus service in the Caribbean. You understand? These busmen just go off the route and check people whom they live. I don't say all of them, I don't know if all of them just do it. And I don't say all of them this and all of them that. But I believe that we got the best drivers them in St. Kitts and Nevis. You understand? They understand the passengers and the passengers doesn't understand them. And some of them don't have no money. And they will beg a bus man a ride home. Several times they beg them ride. And when you look now, a next bus coming in who they don't know custom to, they jump in the bus, down in the bus. You understand? Every year we sit down in the bus and hear the bus driver then complain about it. You see the lady out there, just there, you know, a car home where she live, you know. And you see who she gone with. It's them, some of them are ungrateful to the bus drivers, them. Right? We got the best bus service in the Caribbean, I believe so. We ain't gonna find everything good. I mean, ain't gonna find everything that going right. But I believe that in St. Kitts, we got the best service in the Caribbean. I mean, things could have been a little better. But, Mr. Risha, man, you are doing a wonderful job for the passengers in the Federation. You understand? People will complain and people will say this and people will say that. It's just left to you all. Because place where you all are supposed to go, we take passengers, you all are going to do it. All right then.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much, Mr. Politics. We go straight back to the lines. Caller, your line.
Patches, jump down again. Patches, and Mr. Wilson, no? Is the young bus driver name?
I look young, yes. Thank you for the compliment.
Patches, I personally feel that government should contract about 2 busmen, especially these safari man who ain't doing nothing, man, they power than them. Hire them to carry up the people from Rams up there and get these busmen stay in the terminal and walk. It's from Friday to Sunday. Let them do that to eliminate what's going on. Because the vagabond boy don't mess it up down there with that shiny building. Everything could have gone there. Everything could have gone there. We don't got everything running smooth. No problem. No patches. Another problem seems to arising, you know. In that when this light start to commission, you're going to push the busman them up the road, up the bus. Some problems. But the police, the traffic, need to fine-tune both terminal and be there every day and run the thing. The police, them is who got the thing so, and they will get bashed. Because once them go around, they're going to get bashed. They must do, that's what we hire them for. We hire police. Who is the police? The busman them? The passengers? You drive anywhere they are now with tongue and phone. And just concentrating on getting tickets. Do the right thing. And just have a good night. Be afraid. I'm here.
Have a good night as well. Jam Dong, always so assertive, always so passionate. It's 24 before the 10 o'clock hour. Just in case, just talking the issues about transportation with specific focus on the East bus line, and that runs from DFP via Keon to Basseterre. And there are some issues. We understand there was a protest in Basseterre today, and we have the Secretary Treasurer of that association, Winsha Mangwa Mulchan, who is facing your questions, facing your comments, and doing well so far. Caller, you're live.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Good night, dear.
Yes, I am a concerned citizen. And there are 2 words. One, humane. The other, inhumane. And inhumane is being used every day on persons, especially coming from the East. One, why I say that, the bus stop, we don't have any proper appropriate bus stop accommodating persons coming from the East. When these buses reach to the terminal, who to come off will come off, who to go further will go further. And by right, the persons coming from the East have more, they have a lot more to do, more than those coming from the West. So who coming from the West is coming into Basseterre direct. Who coming from the East, we start coming off from airport, coming down, right? And then you have to look at where some of the bus stops are. They are very off. I mean, you suppose, just for instance, you have a child traveling with. Rain comes down, you have to come off. You want to come off by the airport here. You know the distance where you have to come off to go back to the airport. When you reach into town now, as I said, who to come off by the terminal, the East Bus terminal, will come off. Who to go further, will go. Sometimes we have to walk. We just carry us down there for kind of where we normally used to come off at first. We no longer can come off there. And I'm going to say, sometimes the buses take a chance and drop us there. Which, it is not right now as to the law that is in. But just for helping sake, they will accommodate us. And I think having the buses taking people down at the terminal, they have to bring them back. And I see nothing wrong if the East buses has to be down there for a little while to take back people, to bring them back to the country, to the East side country. The authorities need to look into it and look into it properly. fair must be fair. People must always understand that somebody will always have a little bit more to carry than somebody. And it's only fair. Everybody needs a bread. And people must stop be biased towards one another. You understand? Because I am a person, and the other day I had a situation where, the busman had to bring me back. Wanted to come out here by the mall. Just for the reason that I didn't come out at the bus stop up at Sand to walk all the way down to the. I am not saying that I cannot do it, but at the same time, rain was on the verge of coming down, and the busman can't take me out here, sir. So sometimes we just have to have a little extra something, gratitude, to help people. Just imagine an elderly is and the person wants to come out certain places. What they're going to do? Put them out right there, so wherever the authorities say. We have to remember what goes around comes around, and that is my input.
Thank you, caller. We go straight back the lines at 24, the 10 o'clock hour. Caller, you live.
Patches, good night. Unity in the house. Patches, I believe that
good night,
need
Jackie.
to put back the buses there by stands and make it easier for some people. But I'm going to say something too. The people them spoil if they don't want to use the bus stop. Them are the best bus stop in this whole Caribbean. If they don't want to use them, I want them here in the Virgin Island, because when I come off our bus, I have to walk nearly about 10-15 minutes to go where I'm going. The people them spoil, you know. Rain don't always come. People used to walk from Canary to town, to school, to come shop, and nobody used to complain. You spoil the people them. Some of them could do better. If you're going to come off there by Hasford bus stop, up there by Value Mad, you gone to the square. That is when I jump off a bus here, Lord, sometimes in San Andrew, and I got to walk. The people them spoil. Because I'm going to have to go right by the bed and drop them off and pick them up. Some of them, they don't want to walk. Come on. But I need to put the thing by stand so to be kind of a little help. But if they ain't there, they got to make out. It's let them go back to how we used to be. People used to walk from Canary to tongue with the load in the hand. Come on. I want the bus them talk up right by the bed. I don't really know the full conversation, but what I'm hearing, the government ain't going to get no more bus. They have enough buses to take them back and forth where they're going. They need no more bus. If the bus them don't want to go in the terminal, set them off the road. Who want to go in the terminal, let it go. Because you ain't supposed to drive the terminal straight go. And the terminal, and people in there waiting, and you're gone because you don't want to go in there. Calling the bus thing off kind of name. I need to give thanks. The government got all your spoil.
Carla, you couldn't make it any clearer. I didn't want to bring all them kind of stuff there into the conversation, because it's a culture that we deal with in St. Kitts and Nevis, and I don't know if we're gonna see any change anytime soon. But just like you said just now, Carla, the government have the people them spoil, so the government will have to answer the people them, because someone called earlier and said that is we are the people who employ the government. So when they're going to implement certain system to run the governing body of St. Kitts and Nevis, then you have to get something organized properly and get it done well. So the onus is on the government, yes, because of the fact that we are the people, and a business operator providing a service is so many dialogues we need to have, and that is the issue we're going through today. So I'm glad you bring the fact that you're in the Virgin Islands. I congratulate you guys out there for keeping up with them kind of things, because I love to travel, and I've traveled, and that is something why I am in this position now, for the fact that I know what it is to be living overseas, because I've been to all the other countries them around most of the world.
Okay, let's go back to the lines, caller. Thank you for holding.
Yes, good evening again, Patches. Mr. Mancha.
Good evening, sir.
Bossman,
Mr. Mangra.
Yes, bossman.
Yes, good night, sir.
Patches asked you a question, but you did not answer him correctly. He asked about the fare to town.
And I did answer it, sir.
Listen. I am not a lawyer, right? I'm a retired carpenter. But I know from a little boy, the law is, when they say Bastille was to the bay front, and anybody older than me, who knows what I'm talking about, would challenge me. So I asked you earlier, who is going to pay from the terminal to the terminal? I'm living in the rural east, so if I got to go to the Hasford bus terminal, who going to pay the taxi from there to down there? Because the fare is $3, right? And Susan, I agree with you, Miss Brian Ali, not Mr. Mencha, Brian Ali, Susan from, and she is so right. Me and she is in the same category. And Susan, you stand for what is right. Mr. Bossman, you got to work out your maths more better, go back to the drawing board and help elderly people. Because I don't come all like us too, you know.
So I think you're missing the point that we are doing, you know. We are not saying we don't help anybody.
Okay, let me finish Vinshaw.
Yes, so that's what I was saying. Because the elderly people, elders, you got to cater for the elders with the packages. And you mentioned about you have one day at Hartford. Everybody buy from Value Mart, people buy from where they want. At the same time, since we are paying our money, we're supposed to be able to jump on a bus when we want and where we want. Anyway, Susan, you have a good night, and I heard you earlier. Thank you.
Okay, Vinshaw, let you respond in minutes. Go ahead.
Yes, Patrice, thank you. The caller that says jump in a bus and stop in the terminal. She a old person, she foot and whatever. I would like to say to the caller there, this is not our intention to forget the old people. And if, as she says, as old people, and as the caller just now says, old people, something come up in the meeting today about old people, because we had put all these recommendations to the building, the transportation board before, with old people. We want to do what we proposed to the government before, is that we want to provide a free service to old people, because there is an old people association. I don't know how much of these old people calling themselves old people, and some old young people, some young old people, knows about the association. And we proposed to do free bus service for these such people, and they just have to get a card. You go, you get an ID, and you come to the bus, and the bus transport you to wherever you're going. If you want to go up College Street Gut, the same buses from the East Terminal can take you up to College Street Gut without the police giving the bus a ticket, because when they such young old people provide the ID, then the police officer understand, okay then, well, go ahead. But if you're gonna go with somebody that 12 like me, and the next person 16, and you're gonna drive through town, I mean, come on, that's unfair. How are you gonna get something like that work, and then you're gonna say old people? But you know what happened? The bigger issue is for the fact that these people who call themselves old people, you don't travel that often. We have been looking at the system with these buses that goes down the terminal and go down in Rams Park and lot and them stuff. Most of the passengers they're getting is younger than me. They're younger than me, and I'm kind of contemplating why it is that people keep calling in and saying that we at the East Terminal don't want to help people. We helping people all the time. Sometimes I go up Spooners, and on one trip I leave the terminal, I go up Spooners, I go up a Keon, I go up a Borio, I go up Phillips's on one single trip. And you know what the extra fee they sometimes pay? $1 single to go right next to the house. You know, when I check, that single dollar cannot provide for the brakes pad, the tire, the gas that I am going to use to provide that $1 service. And I think people are missing the point in terms of what we are trying to do. A business is all about serving the people, yes, but the people need to understand that it's a business. If you don't maintain the business, what's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to our boss? What's going to happen to our family? So only the passengers them have families, only the passengers them have things to go and do. Some days I have things to go in town and do. I park my bus in the terminal and I walk downtown and I feel so healthy. And I feel so healthy and it's something good. The caller, we did not change. Caller, we have been asking, and it is in law, from 2008, June, I think it's June 5th, 2008. It is in law, as you enter a bus, a passenger bus, you pay as you enter. You're not supposed to pass your money to somebody else and say, well, pass up this if me, and busman pass back me change. No, you're supposed to pay as you enter. That is law from since 2008. So you see passengers still not complying. Although there is a law, they don't want to know about a law there. Because what? Some people just want to jump in the bus, wait till they reach where they're going, then they give you $20. You're tying up the traffic. You causing a havoc on the road. You're creating a whole different conspiracy in terms of traffic in St. Kitts and Nevis. But what? Do you consider that? I don't think so, because I just see it every day. Imagine we asked for something we proposed, not asked, we proposed for something to go in law, that when you join a bus, the highest amount of note that you can pay the bus driver is 20 EC dollars. Because you don't have change sometimes, because you can't find $50 change. Especially you go out in the morning, first thing Monday morning you go out on the road 8 o'clock, somebody give you $50. Busman now work with money, look at that no more, we don't get no money no more. In our work, so we can't work with money, look at that no more. We actually proposed for a system that you can go to a shop just like you go and buy a top up. You go to a shop, you buy your tickets, that if you're going to $250 destination, you're going to $3 destination, you're going to a $375 destination. You want to go off the bus route, then you provide whatever fees is feasible to go off the bus route, and you provide that to the busman. If you as a passenger right now, it's something that you the passenger have as the luxury to provide a little extra something for the busman. Some busman charge wherever they want to go. Some busman say they take up to $10 to go up a can, to go up in the circus up can. They say they take $10, but some people pay $5. So all these simple things that passengers need to understand, that is not only about the passengers, it's about us drivers as well. Because if we don't drive you safe, how are you going to reach home safe? You know, and that's something where the government need to provide transport. Well, that's something the government, we asking the government to sort it out, however feasible it's going to be. Then that's what we asking the government to do, and that's what the discussion today. So the stand that we take today was to get the government to understand the system in St. Kitts and Nevis. Now you have different association, you have 2 terminals, you have the Monkey Hill side, and as I said, I'm not going to touch the Monkey Hill side because I don't find it to be an issue for us in terms of west and east, and that is something we had the meeting today to make sure that they work. Okay,
I want to take a few more calls before we wind down. I'm running out of time here, Bangla. And yes, I'll take a few more calls, and before we wrap, I'll give you your final wrap as well. And there's this email or 2 emails that the East bus. Yes, I'll take a few more calls. The East buses need to have at the West Terminal, because in the morning the people that going east are at the Bay Road waiting. This is something from years back of old, that are 4 in the afternoon, and there's a people would then go to the terminal. That from old times patches that the shopping areas are at the Bay Road, so in the day everyone wait at the Bay Road, so the East buses have to go there until afternoon. The East Terminal kicks in. Reads that email. This other email reads, patches there is need, should I take that back? Patches, let me get that right. Forgive me, my straight dog family. The patches, there needs to be a passenger by railway for St. Kitts all over Africa. China is helping Africa to be modern, and rails are the best way to go. High-speed rails get St. Kitts going modern. Thank you. Well, we have a railway, a railway line that goes right over the country. That's not beyond us. In the Virgin Islands, no buses line up in a terminal. In fact, the bus service is company-owned. What is happening too is that the gypsy taxis have taken over, and they're doing most of the commuting now. People need to realize that is not they alone who travel. Read this other email. This other email reads, gypsy cab need to be introduced all over the country of St. Kitts that will take the bus passengers to their door, so the buses do not have off their bus route. Think about it, Patches reads this email. Let's take a few more calls before we wrap. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, I want to thank you for holding. You are live.
Hello, good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night, good night.
You are saying that the east side have over 40-something buses. Does the 40 buses hold in the terminal at the same time?
Caller, yes. We have at the moment for the spaces that are in the queue, which we have an overflow with 18. They have 37 buses can be in the queue at the same time, and you have an overflow of 18.
So then you're saying that the 40 bus can't hold in the terminal at the present moment?
Yes, I just said that if you're going to be in the queue, in the west terminal.
You're asking for the 10 buses that run on the bay as the pirates, as you say, to come up there and join you. Where will they fit?
I just said, caller, that you have 37 in the queue and 18 outside in the waiting.
Can I come in 55 buses, caller?
Thank you.
Yes.
What's the question? Make the question, caller.
I'm trying to find out if the other 10 buses come up there, if everybody will have room to wait for the same amount of trips.
Yes, caller, yes.
Yes, because I got to accommodate 55 buses.
Alright. If a bus chooses to go back and forth, coming in the terminal and taking the two passengers and go back and making it a back and forth thing, is that a problem?
But caller, if all of us do this, well, you see, that is something we've been saying all the time.
Mangro, wait a minute, please.
Okay, sir.
I'll use this time wisely and efficiently. Caller, make your comments and your questions, and I'll have Mangro respond. I don't want a to and fro. Go ahead, please.
No problem.
You finished?
Let me get a response to those questions, please.
No, please make a call a question. I have other people on the line.
I just want to know.
Are you there, caller?
I just trying to find out if a bus that goes down the bed do an extra service transporting passengers all over, because when they go in the East Terminal, they are not getting that service. Why is it such a big issue? When they go in the East Terminal,
we'll have a response. Let's take the other caller, Alva, please.
Buses, them and the...
Yes, caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Patrick, Adia?
Yes. Yes, you're live.
Okay, Patrick, a bus stop is a bus stop. And when you see after 6 o'clock, them buses need to queue up the fee. Because that is what they do in the Virgin Island too. And if somebody coming from Cairn, Canary, Sadlers, and they come to the bus stop, the Value Mart bus stop, and they're going down to the ferry terminal, they're supposed to pay an extra $1. That's a bus stop. You're supposed to offload. And if you're going to pick up the bus there, you have to pay to go down. You're supposed to offload your bus, not give them a fee where it's all the way down there. You're supposed to charge them. That's a bus stop. Somebody going to vex with me, but I don't care. That's the way I see it. Because the busman then will lose.
Okay, we got you.
Because if people in the bus stop waiting to go down there, then them coming from Saddles and so, had the bus full, and the person want to pay the money to go too. So, that's the way it is.
Thank you. Let's take this other call. Call you live.
I hope I don't get abandoned. Right.
Good night.
Hello?
Yes, caller, we can hear you.
Yes, go ahead. You're live.
Oh, yes, a good night to talk to somebody else. I wanted to know that they have two bus stops up Yutong Bay Road. They're going to move them because I live in down here and I want to go. Industrial side is up there. I don't have to walk to go. So I don't think it will be fair to walk all the way up there and then still move the bus stop and then want the bus come down. So that's my take on that. I late now, I can't talk anymore. You all right?
I'm good. I'm good. Sounds like Alice in Wonderland. I've run out of time here. I'll take 2 more calls.
Yeah, good evening, Patrick. Now, as far as I see, 11 bus is the problem. There is no way that this 11 bus could work with them. And it got to be something wrong why the 11 bus can't work together with the other 36 bus and bus there. Because unless they don't have no bus association, that you can't tell if I go out there by a bus and I feel to run independent. I could run independent. I don't have to join up with an association. And with that you can't call me no gypsy and all them kind of thing. When I asked for for the money at TDC, I had to pay for the bus. So I should be able to run independent, under the government guidelines. It's not I'm not a busman to tell me I breaking the law when I am following the government guidelines. You understand me? So it's something that I have to trash out amongst themselves. And they need to get it right. Because the public who ride in the buses are suffering. And when you see it happen like that, other bus company gonna come in and set up a bus thing. I remember when they had a dollar bus, running right around the island, and man bought him out. So then we come back. So let the guy ahead and then get yourself organized. Good night, Patrick. God bless you. Stay healthy and stay strong. And God bless you all, both of you. Okay.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, King Rockefeller. Perhaps this time I'll take 2 more calls. Caller, can you use 30 seconds?
Hi, good night, Patrick.
Good night.
Good night to Mr. Vincher.
Good night to you too.
Vincher?
Yes?
How I see it, like you want to tell people what bus to go in, I'll not tell you, and I'm not going to respect for the passengers. One time, I was sitting on the terminal, and a busman, a young busman, said, let's go passengers. And I said I wasn't ready. I just came up the hospital feeling sick. So I was sitting there so long. I mean, the young man could have given me some bad words. So talk to your colleagues them until they clear them out and they act. And I stop one who will people and tell them about bus to go in. They have choice and they're going to know what bus they want. Good night.
Okay, I'll perhaps take 1 more call. Caller, I have room for 1 more call. I'll make you my final call.
Yeah, blessed evening, brother.
Good night, sir.
Blessed evening, sir.
Good night. I'm here listening to this program, and this strike today, to me, that was unnecessary given the situation, saying that, the West Side bus them pick up people from the Rams and this and that. I mean, come on. There's young people, there's old people, and half the time people have loads. And if you can be courteous to the bus, people appreciate it. And Mr. Liburd, if I may be honest, I mean, there's a few good East Line busmen. When it comes to assisting people, the East Line busmen is very dirty and evil. The West Line busmen is very much more helpful, and I'll be honest and frank. Even in Monkey busmen, I don't know why, but if y'all have a problem with that, come on. If you see people think themselves, let's drive down here, because
the West Side bus terminal is not restricted from y'all. You yourself said it earlier in the show. Is not restricted from y'all. So to go strike because the bus them is picking up people on the way. I mean, what you want them to do? Not to do that. If an old person or somebody with that see a bus coming, she just said, no, it's okay, I'm going to be, as y'all said, the prison. But look at it this way. Y'all bus terminal is way more better than the West Side bus terminal. And you don't see them kicking up a fuss for that. Thank you, Mr. Liburd.
Interesting.
Caller, and I think that's where we're going to end it in terms of calls. Brother Winshaw, Mango, Chan, you were in the hot seat tonight. I'll give you the final say tonight. There's some issues I would want you to address in the process. You know, one of the issues we have not really touched, really though, is the as the economists would say, the supply versus the demand. Demand in terms of the number of travelers commuting, whether from Deep Bay via Sandy Point to Bastille or Deep Bay via Cairn to Bastille, and the supply, meaning the number of buses that are available. We have not even touched the issue as it relates to what is called the bona fide bus drivers, those who ply a trade or they trade daily, and not the overnight buses of guys who have another job and just comes into the fold at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, while guys like yourself for 14 years we consider you bona fide bus drivers. I know at the time government actually granted concessions in relation to some duty free on tires and things like that. You may want to address that as well. The bus stops between the East Bus Line Terminal and the West Bus Line Terminal, because there used to be a bus stop there by the fire station. There's one just on the Bay Road, 2 on the Bay Road, one there by Sands, one there by SL Hospital, the cinema there, and then one next to Rams as well. They were all moved. We don't know why they were moved. And there's also the issue of the new residential areas, because lots of areas are being built up. You mentioned a few in earlier, but shouldn't there be a service, or bus drivers can even get innovative, and instead of fighting for this one service, they can organize a service to these residential areas as well. To Bird Rock, there's no bus line service to Bird Rock. To Frigate Bay, there's no bus line to Frigate Bay. So there is room for innovation. I believe that's something you can address. The other issue, it relates to the association and the service its members provide to the commuting commuters or to the traveling public. And do you believe there's room for improvement? Are travelers spoiled? Somebody asked. So these are some of the questions I want you to address in your wrap, and at some time you may want to continue this. But the buzz now, as we wrap, your final wrap, Mr. Manshaw.
Yes, so, Mr. Patrick.
Winshaw Mangra Mulchan, sorry, my dear brother and friend.
Yes, I want to start with the person that says the people are spoiled. And you know something, why you want to bring that up, because the people are spoiled, because you know I listen to a lot of radio. If somebody jump in my bus, they would hardly hear I play like a CD or a pen drive. If I'm going to Keys, normally for the mountain area there, the service gone, so I'll put on a pen drive or something like that. But when you come to the people are spoiled, I listen to radio and I listen to Dr. Martin, and he keep talking about obese in St. Kitts and Nevis. It's a problem. I think it says in number 2 in St. Kitts or something like that for whatever the word disease is. I'm not no physician or anything like that. Nowhere close. And when you talk about obese people and stuff, and I do exercise and I do walk, as I said earlier, from the East Terminal all the way down to the West Terminal, sometimes all the way up to Tango Tire Shop there in the gut walked and I feel healthy. So when you see about people, it's like something that in people brain here in St. Kitts and Nevis, that you're not supposed to adjust to anything. You're just supposed to get whatever you want. With that said, people have rights. And I'm going to say why people have rights is because we as bus operators, bus owners, as a business, it's our right to look for the best way to serve the passengers, but still look for the way that we can make our business be something that we can live off of. When I started this business before in 14 years ago, I didn't have a problem. I used to start to work 7:10 in the morning, go home at 9:30, eat some lunch, come back 11:30. By 5 o'clock I go home. I leave it for somebody else. When the 4 o'clock workers, them as you said just now, Patches, with the buses them that have jobs, and we having a serious problem with some of these persons who have jobs that don't want to come in the line. They just want to come and run outside of the road, and that's the problem too. We can do the same thing as bona fide bus drivers, and people keep saying we don't want to go for people downtown. We want to, but are the traffic willing to agree for all the buses to go downtown? Would the government agree for us to come out of the East Terminal and operate all the way in town? I would like to know if the people want bus stops, as you say, Patches. You got two down on the Bay Road, one at Alfredo's, one at Kenneth Dive Center. You used to got one by the Pelican Mall, you used to got one by Rams. So is it feasible for the buses to stop in such close proximity? Now that you have the traffic lights coming in, how are you going to operate that system in terms of stopping there, stop? And the thing is that people don't understand, when a bus stood stop with the brakes pad that you used, the tire that you burn. I mean, I can say, as I keep saying all the time, we have these guys as outlaws because they don't want to do anything with us, and we can do everything what they're doing, but we choose to go with what the government built. The government spent $4.something million for a proper East Terminal that people can come in and they could relax, could go by the shops, buy something, and you just refresh yourself and catch yourself. So when you're on the bus, you can have a focused journey to understand, well, look, me watch out, okay, because I feel good. I don't relax, feel good. But you have all this facility in the East Terminal, and people yet still don't want to use it. So what are the government supposed to do now? When the East buses decide now that we are not going in there anymore, because it doesn't make any sense. People want to go downtown, so we don't want to go inside there. So how it is that you're going to accommodate all these buses going downtown? How it is that we're going to do it? We need to understand that it's a system, and if one can do it, all of us can do it. We don't have a problem doing it. And I would like to really say to the people tonight again, the East Bus Association members does not have a problem doing anything for the passengers, whether being young, whether being old, whether rain falling, whether going off the bus route. But at the same time, you have to understand the courtesy that we are doing. You are not appreciating. You just want to say, oh, them bus, and you know the next thing that we call these guys outlaws, because of the fact they are the ones who telling passengers don't catch them the bus. You know my name right now in St. Kitts and Nevis, and I only think because of the fact that I already did a good deed. That is why a lot of people still catch me bus, because of the fact that I am a good provider of a bus service. So some of these guys who telling people don't go in here bus, here from here, don't catch them the bus, then I want to carry down the terminal. But every single day I carry people down the terminal. Every single day I go down there. Some people would catch me bus to come back up, to go back country. Just the other night I went down there. A gentleman wanted to go up Phillips's. A young lady wanted to go Cairn, up Cabby Tree. She said she foot hot she. Well, somebody raised the issue about their foot. And I did that. Just the two passengers, 2 passengers. I came back into town after 7 in the night. Went down the West Terminal. 2 passengers I went back to country to take up Cabby Tree because she foot hot, and one up Phillips's. So it's not like we are not doing anything for the passengers. But these outlaws just keep telling people, oh, we ain't doing nothing for them, we ain't this. So wait, passengers, you can't see. You don't understand. So how it is that sometimes you just want to get vexed. Oh, well, because he said that, okay, that means I not get Vincha bus. Because this one say Vincha not do this for you. But you ever ask Vincha to do something for you? And that is the issue we're having, Patches, and a lot of other issue you raised in terms of how we're gonna manage the system to go forward. Well, Patches, I don't know if we're gonna say here, well, you say you're out of time already, so in my wrap, I'm just saying to the people, the system that we want to have happening is that we can go all over St. Kitts and Nevis if we choose to do so. There's nothing preventing us from doing that. But when passengers gonna act in a way and they don't want to catch our bus who just stay in the terminal to go back in the terminal, don't want to catch us to go down the west terminal, how it is that we're gonna appreciate that? You're gonna stigma us because some other bus drivers say don't do that, and that is the issue. And that is why we went on the road today, to make that point that if you can't work with us, then the government have to do something, because what we are doing is not working. So there's a lot of issue that we have to sort it out, and I'm trusting that the conversation today can have some food bear, that we can get these issues ironed out. And please let the public understand that the East Bus Association have the members that goes into the East Terminal to operate, whether it be in Sadler side, whether it be in the Molyneux side. We go in there to operate based on the fact that the government provide a terminal, and at the first, when the terminal to open, it was said to us that we can't stay in Brand Street because we refused to go in there, because we said, well, we can't see nobody ever come because we can't see outside the terminal. We ain't gonna see, well, what's going on outside there, so why we must go in there? And for the first, I did not go in there, but after the opening and the bus went in, everybody started going. And for the first 2 weeks, everybody was nice. We didn't have an issue with them fellas going down there because we never used to see them going down there. But them guys find an innovative way that, well, there's no law stopping us from going there. There's no law stopping us from going downtown. So they're going. But because of the fact it was institute, a terminal, we who understand what's a terminal, we decide, well, okay, well, that's what the government built. We did not have a choice in terms of saying, well, we don't want it up there. We had put proposal for where the houses are now, the townhouses, and where the church, the 7-day church there, to get that there as the bus terminal. But it didn't happen that way, and it's not our fault. So I would like for the people to know it's that some things in St. Kitts and Nevis is not specifically a group fault or a specific person fault. Things do happen. People do judge things based on the way how they see the future might end out, I guess, because I can't see the future, but some people do. So that is the things that we are trying to get to the people, that we don't have a problem going down to the West Terminal and get all the bus stops then put back down in town. But if you're gonna abuse the system and tell one set you can't go there, but next thing when the same set go down there, they see the other set doing worse than what you was doing. I mean, how that gonna work out? How people supposed to feel? How we as bus operators supposed to feel, who providing the very same service, but yet still you criticizing us because you want to get a bigger share? Well, I know the slang in St. Kitts and Nevis now is fair share for all. So that is all we're looking at. The fair share for all, for the people, the passengers, the bus operators. And that's what we're looking at. So Patches, I want to thank you for having me here tonight, and I hope that the people understand that we are here for them, and hope that they can understand what we want to see happen in St. Kitts and Nevis to develop our country. This is our country. Let we make it to be the best country, as the woman from the Virgin Island Carlin said, that we have gold in St. Kitts and Nevis. We have gold, but yet still we want to abuse the gold. And when you think you abuse gold, you know what it turned to? It turned to bronze. And it started to wither down. So let me understand ourselves, and it's going to be fine. We are not pushing anything that it wouldn't suit the commuters. We are pushing for something that can work for all of us. But it so happened that the terminal is already up there, and we can't abandon the terminal because the government already spent the money on it, and the government make it clear it's not going to be abandoned. So all of us going to have to work together, and there's some kind of solution going to take place for everything to work together. Patches.
Thank you. Binsha Mulchan, Secretary Treasurer of the East Bus Association. You're never out of words, certainly. We want to thank you for just here on Straight Talk tonight. Just to, lest we forget, the East Bus Line Terminal was constructed after the lack of foresight of some who's in government who serve as representatives of East Basseterre, that put a bus terminal on Brand Street and Johnson Street. For those who don't know, Brand Street is the street that goes up on Wellington Road. Street is center on Pond Road, and as you said, this imagine on Brand Street and Johnson Street, people lived on those streets, couldn't even park their vehicles. Like Bango, who had his nice SUV, couldn't even get a parking space. Dango and all those guys on Brand Street, or that Dango actually, Danites I should say, and others who lived on Brand Street all their life. And the buses overflowed into John Street and West Street. So, and people were exposed to the vagaries of the weather, they were exposed to the danger of the traffic, and government in its wisdom thought it the prudent thing to do as part of development, as part of improving the transport system, to build a new bus line terminal. So to improving the transport system, we are moving into the phase 2 of the traffic signals, of the traffic lights. But my Straight Talk family, our time is done, and we are now, I know before the meeting office, there was a plan to actually put a terminal for the St. Peter's buses as well. So those people who commute in on that route would have the luxury of a waiting area and an area. It's the best bus line. We were stuck with space, and the other ideas about having one terminal period in Basseterre. Bus stops are made protected, and the authority, but the traffic in charge, to ensure that people adhere, drivers and commuters as well. It's a fact of life. You just have to go to the bus stops and have an orderly transport. But yes, the buses provide a service for those who it's a basic mobility for those who do not have cars, and quite a lot of people don't have cars, although so many vehicles coming from on the carriers week. But the service is vital, and it will be personally all the bus drivers, East, West, St. Peter's, even in Nevis as well, for the service that they continue to provide on a daily basis. But that's it for me. My time is done. I gotta run. I want to thank Albert Bradley for his tolerance, as per usual. I want to thank, first of all, Almighty God, for guiding our conversation tonight. And as always, I want to thank you, the many callers. I want to thank those on social media, Facebook and YouTube as well. And don't forget the listeners on ZIZ Radio 96.5 FM. We want to thank all of you, because you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason I say a big thank you. I am Ian Patch Liburd, and God's spare, I will connect with you on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk. Until that time, be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. Enjoy or have the best of what's left of the rest of tonight, and we connect on Thursday. But until that time, remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you just got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning. Thank you for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye.